What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we have a couple things to talk about. For the first time in a long time, actually, I'm back. Um, so let's just get it started. First thing, in the Atlantic, we have a couple things to talk about. The first being over here, this is a possible disturbance that could bring a lot of flooding to places like Texas and Mexico over the next couple of days. There's only a 10% chance it forms into a depression or anything, but definitely um, we could very much so see something happen with this. If nothing happens, a ton of rain, but this thing will most definitely not form into a hurricane. It has very, very little space to do that, and also the path it's taking is not very, very helpful. And then over here we have Erin. Erin is the first, I would say, major threat that could happen for several reasons. The first major threat to the mainland U.S., at least, possibly bringing big impacts to us, but there's also a chance that it doesn't affect us at all, and it might just affect the island of Bermuda out here. So currently, it is only sustained at about 40 mile per hour winds. The minimum central pressure is only 1,004. That is expected to drastically start lowering over the next couple days. Um, National Weather Service has this thing already started out as tropical storm force winds. The path that they take it is also not like very, very, I would say, helpful to look at because it shows this thing going almost straight and possibly right into South Carolina, North Carolina. While that is an option and it may happen, that also is just one of very several things that could happen right now. This thing has dove south still and is expected to dive a little bit more southern before finally starting to turn. A lot of models are predicting this thing to start to go up and then not impact anywhere close to the coastline, but more so go towards Bermuda. And then there are also some weather models that show this basically going straight, sort of starting to turn up and going through the Bahamas and maybe into the Gulf. These are all three just some options that may happen, but at the same time, nothing is set in place yet. So if we look at hurricane wind speed probability, currently it is still low, but there is a chance that this thing strengthens over the next couple days. It will most likely do so, but for right now, they still have this as a low chance for right now. Within the next 48 hours, I would expect it to become a hurricane at some point in that time frame, just based off of the ocean temperature and all that is out there. Um, Currently, rip current. Uh, there is still some chance that this could start to impact places in Puerto Rico. Um, as it's moving closer, it'll start to have that way bigger of a risk, but right now it's only moderate and for very little area. Um, Further we go throughout the next couple of days, we'll start to see obviously a lot more rip currents and stuff like that. So yeah, currently here's a wind field. Tropical storm force winds basically the whole way. Weakened out overnight a little bit, and now it's back and stronger again about what it was beforehand. But you can see what I mean. It has started to take its southern turn a little bit. This is just how most of these hurricanes start. They typically, in the end up starting to curve back north due to several factors. But yeah. So here is the arrival times. Um, Currently, it is 3 p.m. on Wednesday, so it is most likely sitting right around here-ish, which holds true. Over the next couple of days, Thursday at this time, it should move in a little bit closer. It should start really starting to strengthen a lot as the warmer ocean waters should be getting warmer as it goes on. And I'd say right around Friday midday, there's a chance that's when it may strengthen a lot. And then by Saturday or Sunday, we should most likely have a Cat 2 plus hurricane, if everything holds to what it's saying it may now. So, here's the wind speed probabilities. This is completely like not accurate yet. Um, Several things could happen to deviate this. But yeah. So if we go over here, we can actually look at some of the forecast models for it. GFS is staying with what it's said for quite a while now. As it comes in about the Monday time frame, we'll start to see it in frame down there near Cuba and Puerto Rico at around a Cat 2-ish hurricane as it deepens into about a Cat 3, maybe even about a Cat 3. Previous model showed this going a little bit deeper into like a maybe even low end Cat 4, but it starts to turn off north, and while there still could be impacts due to maybe rip currents and wind, this should not be an issue. There's a ton of coverage in between. Now, some of the models that are a little bit more concerning, um, this one is a little bit concerning, but at the same time, uh, this is just one model, and they're all over the place still right now. There's nothing certain yet. But this model guidance could lead us to believe that it may not turn as much as we thought, and it could possibly do a couple of things. It could either uh, sort of curve in and maybe hit Florida, Georgia-ish area, or it could start to turn and rapidly turn and go off the coast, and the Outer Banks would definitely see strong rip currents and stuff like that become an issue. That is still probably the better situation. It turns off, but several things could happen with this as it still days out. We can look at some of the hurricane models and what they think may happen. So this is as of 48 hours ago. It has started to strengthen pretty, I wouldn't say a ton, but it has definitely strengthened a little bit. Um, and it shows this model within the next 24 hours deepening into under 1,000 millibars, and then rapidly strengthening into like a Cat 1, Cat 2 hurricane. Um, it really has this thing deepen into Category 3, maybe Category 4 hurricane, and sort of riding along Puerto Rico and this area. There's not much turn that you start to see at all, so this would also be a pretty grim weather model, for instance, because it sort of just did this. There's still chance it curves off or whatever, but that's still pretty close. It's relatively close to the coastline. Um, and like I said, at this point, it could go straight, it could turn a little bit, or it could go off to sea. So, um, as we get a little bit closer, the weather models will start to pick up on what's happening better. But some of these models look absolutely horrific. Next model run, 48 hours ago, right around the same thing. And then over the last couple scans, it has it dropping into about 1,000 millibars. And then over the next little bit, it shows it trying to, and then it rapidly, once again, once it hits those warmer waters, goes from being almost nothing besides a tropical storm into a hurricane again. This weather model, I would say, shows it last second. You can start to see that little bit of a curve. I think this model also sort of agrees it'll go off and up, but this shows it becoming a Cat 4 basically hurricane. So once again, really hefty on the models. We can actually look at it closer and see what it would look like. Roughly around the Tuesday-ish or Monday-ish time frame. We can do the same for this one. But yeah, the hurricane models are not being nice to it. And showing what could possibly happen. So yeah, this one turns off quite a bit. This is GFS. This one turns off and maybe some impacts to the Newfoundland Islands up there in Canada. There's a chance for that too. It would be a lot weaker of impacts, but still could have decent impacts. This one, once again, shows it being a very slow moving hurricane, and slowly taking its time to work its way up. We can go to this model and see what this one's saying. So in about 72 hours, it could strengthen into a hurricane, and then by hour 96, it would be right around a high-end Cat 2 hurricane. Uh, it doesn't really show it hitting much of anything, actually, which is good. Another model showing that. But once again, it's still a little bit far out, so this one shows it turning off way sooner. And if this starts to happen over the next little bit, that is a great sign, and the impacts may be a lot lesser, but once again, for the island of Bermuda, that would not be the case. So, anyways, here's what the Tropical Storm Erin model intensity guidance is showing. A lot of the models are starting to indicate over the next little bit it'll start to strengthen pretty rapidly over the next 48 hours, could possibly become a hurricane, which I think is the case over the next 48 hours, most likely become a hurricane. And then right around here, the models start to split a little bit. Some models sink by the 72-hour mark. It could be a Cat 2 and slowly intensifying, or it could shoot up and rapidly intensify into a Cat 3, possibly Cat 4 hurricane. We still don't have a ton of great guidance until really about, like, everything starts to go haywire about 60, 72-hour mark. So it doesn't just necessarily understand yet, I don't think, what's going to happen. Some of these models are really downplaying it. These are a lot of the models you don't really have to worry about. They're outlier models, although you should definitely still take them into account. But over the next 168 hours, it's definitely not still going to be a tropical storm. That is something that most likely will not happen. Here is what the GEFS model tracks show. This is a lot of the models put on the screen to show exactly where the path could be. The overall guidance is it's going to turn off to sea. Yes, while it may happen, that is not accurate. There's a lot of models that show this thing turning off very soon. Although that could happen, it's still, once again, possible that it just doesn't happen. The computer models aren't necessarily taking every factor into account right now this far out. That's 192 hours out. It's not going to be extremely accurate, even up to 72 hours. So yes, that is a possibility. But, very few models are showing it going in over here. That is a more likely thing that could happen. I'm not, like, more models should definitely be picking up on that than what they are, because it is still a possibility. Like skimming along the coastline more, there's very few that are doing that. But yeah, still, even having it being this close to the coastline, that's the Outer Banks right there. That's very, very close still. That's going to bring some pretty detrimental impacts. So that's basically all with that Tropical Storm Erin. It is very, very uncertain yet. Could do a couple of things, but for the time being, it is a tropical storm that over the next 48 hours is most likely going to intensify into a Cat 1 hurricane. Just got to see, though. So, looking at precipitations and stuff like that, a lot of rain and thunderstorms today. Actually, really a ton. As you can see down here, that is all little rain showers, thunderstorms, and stuff. That shows all of the different weather stuff that is happening. A lot of flooding events all over the place. Scattered flooding events throughout Alabama and Georgia. Isolated rainfall rates, 3 to 5 inches, or isolated rainfall, not rainfall rates. 3 to 5 inches. These storms like to sit over the same area and just not really move very much, as you can see, causing flash flood events, especially with all of the rain that's over here in Georgia. I would not be shocked if there's a ton of flash flood warnings as the day goes on, just because these systems are very slow moving storms. Um, Up there in Pittsburgh, couple severe thunderstorms. Most likely just wind related stuff. Not really seeing much of hail or tornado threat. While it is still a possibility, it is a minor possibility. For today's severe weather risk, it is a 2% tornado chance over basically South Dakota and Nebraska. 15% wind risk over South Dakota and Nebraska again, with a 5% extending into Wyoming, and sliver of Iowa and Minnesota. Then another 5% for the Pittsburgh all the way up into basically Vermont area, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Maryland area. And then with the hail threat, that is mainly just centered. It's low hail threat over Nebraska and maybe Kansas. Or, sorry, South Dakota and Nebraska. Looking ahead into tomorrow, the risk shifts a little bit more up there into Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Main threat here is going to be hail, 15% significant hail risk, 5% in the surrounding areas. Wind threat, still 15% chance, so this is mainly just some stronger storm supercell chance. That's why there's also the accompanied 2% tornado risk. Then looking into Friday, currently just a marginal risk over Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, a little bit of Nebraska, Wisconsin, and then the UP and Michigan. Once again, as you can see, the thunderstorm party continues basically down there in the south and Midwest and out west. So, a lot of rain chances, but overall, not too big of severe weather events to take place. Very, very minor and scattered storms. So, yeah. Looking into the future, here's what the precipitation could look like. Sorry, apparently it hasn't loaded all the way. Just not much in the way of extreme events. There you can see actually Erin down there as a Cat 3 or Cat 2 hurricane. And then you can see all the scattered thunderstorms and showers that we were talking about before starting to dominate over there, basically across the whole U.S., besides the exception of the out west. But yeah, this is just going to continue. Scattered showers over the next couple weeks. Temperatures don't look to be as bad, at least for the Midwest. It's gonna be off and on, but once we hopefully get into the next week time frame, some of that should shift down a little bit. As you can see, 70s over there in Michigan, Wisconsin area for highs. That is not horrible before finally, once again, picking up heat again. But a lot for the Central Plains, it's just going to be the same sort of story. 105 degrees, 100 to 105 degrees each day for quite a while. So, and what's funny is actually on this model you can also see where Hurricane Erin would be as it sort of messes with the temperatures in the surrounding area before it sort of skids off. So, but yeah, very, very warm waters, so it could work with that, and also just a ton of moisture. If we look at the dew points, it'll sort of show that up into the 70s basically all day down there in the south. It's just very, very muggy up there, so, or down there. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. It helps out. More content should be coming. It's been a while. I've just not really done much with this, so we'll just see where it goes with the future. But yeah, I thought I'd make the update for possibly Hurricane Erin soon. So thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Peace.